Good morning. I'm Carrie Freeman. Welcome to My Left Ear. It's Monday, August 9th, 2021. This is video 51. I made it to 51. It is entitled Uncanny Experience. That would be my uncanny experience that I'm going to share with you. So, My Left Ear is a left-leaning, mostly political site, but I get into other things like my hypnotherapy practice, my psychic coaching, which I've been doing for many years. And if you want to know more, my email is below and you can write me and I can send you my, I have a one sheet of what I offer, my services. So feel free to email me. And I am building subscribers, one subscriber at a time. It's very challenging. So please subscribe. And wouldn't it be nice if Carrie got 5,000 followers? So here's the deep breath. And I realized recently that there's been a long time since I've said this is for entertainment purposes only. And what I offer is my perspective. So I thought maybe a good idea to mention that. All right, I'm going to start with a personal story, but it has to do with the runes. So it's not like off topic so much, but it is personal. And then I think it will make the runes readings that I'm going to do today a little juicier when you see what happened to me. So here's the backstory. As some of you know, I am a writer and I've written 2 books, and I'm going to share my big book with you shortly. I'm going to do a video and share it and make it available to people. But for now, I'm not going to talk about it. However, that's the background I write. So about 4 or 5 months ago, I wrote 5,000 word, well, actually it's 4,800 words, story article, and it has to do with my ancestors, which sounds really dull, except my ancestors launched a very famous publication in 1905, and the publication is still thriving 117 years later. So that publication you may have heard of, because I get people from all over the world watch. It's called Variety, and it is an entertainment newspaper. You can call it a newspaper, publication, magazine. It's not really a magazine, but it is a publication, and it has worldwide. I'm going to turn my air conditioner off. It just popped on because I know that's irritating to people. It's hot in California. Anyway, so it's quite an epic story because my great-grandfather, my great-uncle founded the paper, and he had no experience in writing, publishing, or the entertainment business, but he had a love of vaudeville, and his father kind of kicked him to the curb. He was an accountant. So he turned to my great-grandfather, George Freeman, and he borrowed $2,500 and he started Variety. And then he was married to my great aunt Hattie, who was George's daughter. So George Freeman was his father-in-law. And Aunt Hattie, great Aunt Hattie, designed the logo for Variety that still exists today. And then Syme, my great uncle, invited my grandfather to join Variety 2 weeks after it launched. It's a very romantic, inspiring, delightful story. It's a piece of history. So it turned out great. I went through like 2 editors and proofreaders, and I'm really happy with it. And 2 people that work at Variety and have worked at Variety for a long time, I was able to speak to, and they were very nice, very helpful. Now we're going to cut to the article should not be published in Variety. It's really not correct for Variety. It's a story, and it's a dramatic story, and it has a lot of cinematic content. I mean, you read it and it's like, oh, this is a movie or a series. So right now, I want to get it to Netflix. I want to get it to some agents. And I think I'm going to send it to the New Yorker. But before I did all that, I wanted to send it to the owner of Variety, a gentleman named Jay Penske. And he owns a lot of publications, but it is my understanding that Variety is his favorite. And he told someone that I know, I will never sell this. So I thought it would be really a courtesy to let him read it, and I don't want anything from him. So last Friday, now we're getting to the good part. Last Friday, I said, okay, I've got my cover letter, I've got my article, and I had 4 different emails for Mr. Jay Penske. None of them worked. Every single email bounced back. So I went back and I emailed my 2 contacts at Variety, and they really didn't want to be bothered with me. I got such a chilly response. They gave me one more email of his. It was just hit reply, give me the email, and then the inference was go away. Okay, I won't be bothering them again. So this failed. This 5th email failed. I did a set of runes before I went into email him. I wanted to see what the vibe was with sending this. And here's the stuff that I wanted to tell you. I got the worst runes I have ever gotten for almost anything. And that would be for other people. For me, it was like shocking. I went, oh my heavens. So I pulled a clarifier. And I got disruption. Well, I overrode the advice of the runes because I was so ready to try to make this happen. And I failed 5 times. And the people that were in my corner are gone. So that was like a punch. I'm looking at alternatives. I don't need to go into what they are, but this is the power of the runes. And me, of all people, I should have walked away and said, today's not the day, but I didn't. So that's the story. Now I am going to share with you runes that I pulled about politics, etc. Now, right now. I asked the runes because my left ear asked me, I wonder if there could be a pivot in a good way in terms of voting rights, S1. And unfortunately, the room said no. There's not going to be some. I had this idea that because of the bipartisan with the infrastructure, and I'm really not going to talk about the infrastructure because it's going to pass in some form. It's not what Joe Biden exactly wanted. They'll go back to the drawing board, but it's a start, and it was bipartisan, and some form of infrastructure is going to happen. So I don't need to go there. Could there be a pivot on S1? So I got movement. I didn't put them out today, so I apologize. I'm not going to hold them up because I didn't put them out in advance, but I got the rune of movement reversed. And it says blocked. But it does say, what is yours will come to you. All right? The second rune is the rune of harvest, which is 1 year. And it tells us, prepare the ground, wait, but it's not now. Now, we've gotten this before because, we have the 22 midterms. 1 year. We get some more Democrats in, which I think is going to happen. There's this possibility. And then the final rune was the rune of joy reversed. It speaks of a crisis, a difficult passage at hand. It doesn't look good for S1 right now. However, my left ear thinks there's going to be some solutions and corrections in the future, really and truly. All right, so now we got through that one. The runes. I wondered things are opening up about Trump's criminality and his intent to disrupt, to steal the election, to all of that. With the new testimony that's coming, where we're finding out he had great intent and he was trying to get the DOJ and all these departments to work with him to overthrow the election. Now we're finding out how corrupt he really was. We're getting testimony, we're getting evidence. And I wondered, will Trump's indictments, because yes, my friends, they are coming, might undo all the legislation? Because his election allegations will prove false. So the runes said there's a strong chance of yes, that a lot can be undone. I don't have a time frame though, so I'm just going to share that with you. It's interesting, isn't it? I don't know if this is just an FYI. I don't know if you guys know what the Dunning-Kruger effect is. It is literally an official thing, and it was created, I believe, by a psychiatrist or psychologist. But it's people like Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who have a tremendous lack of knowledge, but they insist that they know everything. It's a failure to appraise oneself and have no idea of one's own limits. The Dunning-Kruger effect. And there's a lot of people in the public eye now that have this. They have a tremendous lack of knowledge and a huge self-confidence. It's a phenom. My left ear had this aha moment yesterday. I was thinking about the vaccine, which is all over the news, and we have these people that are resistant and they're anti-vaxxers. And I went, some of these people, not all, some of these people feel like that they get vaccinated, they're going to act like Democrats. And they're going to act like people are going to think that they're libs, or they like the libs, or they support the libs. And I want to say, I tweeted this, I want to say that the anti-vaxxers can go get a vaccine, and you know what? You can still hate me. You can still hate the Democrats, the libs. The two are not mutually exclusive. So I think that's a little bit of it. That's a little bit of the automatic no we're getting. It's like, no, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not going to get a vaccine. But you can get a vaccine, save your life, save your friend's life, save your children's life, and still hate us. You're free to do that. I thought it was kind of cool. A brief message, South Dakota, the Sturgis motorcycle rally with no masks, 1 million, larger than last year, all unmasked. This is really not even psychic. There's going to be massive infections and deaths when people go back to their towns. Massive. They have no idea what they did. 1 million unmasked people. And there is a photo. I could put it on my community, but I don't know if I want them on my community page. But they're just crammed together on their motorcycles. Wow, wow, wow. I asked the runes, will more people get vaccinated? I did these sort of one rune questions also. And the answer is yes, because I got the rune of partnership. Yeah, more people are going to get vaccinated. Not to the extent that we wish, but yes, I got a clear yes from the runes. About a month ago, and I really didn't enjoy saying this, but what kept coming for me over and over is we're in a civil war. We don't have President Lincoln, but we're in a civil war. And I've been saying that to people, and it sounds a little radical, but haha, Joyce Vance, brilliant former AG and law professor, tweeted it yesterday. We're in a civil war. And I like to get validated by these people. I'm a big fan of Joyce Aline Vance. She's great. My left ear. There is this great attorney that I follow named Tommy Lauren on Twitter. I said within the last week or two, I said to you, you know, Trump is guilty of obstruction of justice, sedition. I mean, there's a laundry list, right? There is a laundry list. But what I said was Al Capone went to prison for tax fraud. And the worst case scenario is that we don't get our fervent wish, but that he does go to prison for tax fraud because the Ways and Means Committee are getting their taxes, finally. So Tommy Lauren wrote, Trump will end in prison for life. His fastest path is tax fraud. So that may be a little disappointing, but you'd like to see him in prison, wouldn't you? Someone wrote me and said, will Trump get indicted for all these misdeeds? And the answer is no. He'll get indicted for some. I know that's really disappointing and it feels like life is not fair. And you know what? Life is not fair. But he will. So take that as good evidence. All right, moving on to Mark Meadows, former White House Chief of Staff, and the very stupid Kevin McCarthy. They are in trouble. Last week, Meadows did an interview with Newsmax, which is even more radical than Fox, and he actually had the gall to say, the president and I met with cabinet members to discuss moving forward. He was very engaged and fully involved. He's ready. Well, nobody said that about Barack Obama, did they? Oh, he's very engaged and fully involved. No, you only say it if the person isn't engaged, isn't fully involved, and is in trouble. It was just outrageous that he called him the president and he called it the cabinet. There is no cabinet anymore. Trump is not president anymore. Anyway, Mark Meadows and Kevin McCarthy are in trouble. So I mentioned this earlier because sometimes I skip around, that we are seeing the pattern of intention with Trump. All the attorneys, AGs, specialists are talking about the pattern of intent. And the former acting deputy AG Rosen, who took all those fabulous notes to prove it, had a private session, like a 7-hour session with the January 6th committee on Saturday. And can you imagine what they heard in private? Next rune, where is it? I just picked one. Will the subpoenaed witnesses show up? And I got the rune of the self reversed. And about 1/2 will not show up. And then the next rune, will there be consequences for the people that don't show up? And I got a resounding yes. I got the rune of opening. Yes. So that's good news. I told you about the SI. There won't be the pivot. This is where I jumped around a little bit. And then Cuomo, Governor Cuomo. I didn't throw runes because I don't care about him. But the runes, he will be forced. My left ear, it's not the runes. My left ear believes he will be forced to step down, and he will do it in order to make a deal of no charges. So he just gets to walk. This is what I think will happen. He's handling things poorly. He's just, it's over. You can't survive 11 or 12 women with accusations. And no, do I think he's as bad as Trump? I don't think he's as bad as Trump, but it is what it is. And he's arrogant and narcissistic, and he may have done some good things for New York, but he's not a good guy. I don't like him. This is not a war fuzzy. All right, I'm just looking at my notes here. I want to make sure I kind of finished up. So here are the quotes. Here's a quote. Be a foot soldier. I'm going to repeat that because I garbled. Be a foot soldier for kindness on the street. Pay someone a compliment and watch them light up. That's religion. You know who that said that? Me, Carrie Freeman. It's my quote. Because I had a couple of experiences this weekend that were really sweet. I'll tell you about them in a second. And then you're going to get more of me today. I just decided to do this. I tweeted yesterday because it came through. It's been coming through my left ear. This one word. It's crush. That's the word that keeps coming through. So I tweeted this yesterday. We must legally crush them every which way possible and save the great experiment. So we have to pull out every arsenal possible, and I think it's happening. It's happening. The foot soldier for kindness. 2 little stories if you have time or you're interested. I'm driving in my car this weekend. It was busy. I pull up to a corner. I look to my right, and there's a grown man with a little boy, maybe 8 or 9 years old. They both had their little helmets on, and they were riding bikes. It was like dad taking his little boy out for a bike ride, and they were trying to get across the street. And the dad looked at me like, you go. And I went, oh no, you go. And I had to insist. So he starts off, and this little boy is behind him, and he gets kind of messed up with his little bicycle, and he can't quite get to the curb. And I'm just sitting there waiting, and there was someone behind me. I went, too bad. And finally, the little boy gets off the curb, and he starts behind his dad. So I made the right turn, and something, my left ear, said, glance to your left. And I glanced to my left, and that father was like going, thank you, because he knew I was going out of my way for him. It was so sweet that I just went, is he? And we looked at each other at the same time. So cool. Synchronicity. And then yesterday, same thing. I'm in the car. There's to my right, there's sirens and police. I'm just going straight, but things are held up, and I'm blocking like a 7-Eleven mini mart thing, and there's a giant white truck, like a moving truck that wants to cut in front of me, but I'm blocking it. So I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking, well, there's no one behind me. Back up and let the guy pull out. So I just backed way up, and the giant truck pulled past me so they could get to their destination, and that man thanked me, waved and thanked me. That's what I mean by kindness on the street. It's these like tiny little moments, and people are getting it when you do something, because both these gentlemen understood that someone made a little effort. And if we all do it a little bit, so there you go. That's and listen, I want you to know, I don't run around like a little fairy, but when I see the moment, I go, oh yeah, just do that. And it's very gratifying, and it gives them good evidence. Like, yeah, this woman was really patient today, and she let little Mikey and I cross the street with our bicycles. It's just that simple, and that's what I mean by kindness on the street. So more to come. I think, I do a lot of work on my own before I turn on this video. And I know I didn't give you enough this week. It was 5 days. I apologize, but you can see I work hard and I really do my best. And I keep coming back to give you stuff. So I hope to see you soon. Subscriptions. Thank you. Make peace. Make good memories. Bye-bye. Here's the bye-bye. Bye-bye.